Welcome to JMC Live. I am your special host here, Jeremy Caverly. We normally have a show on Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, but we're doing a special today, and as soon as we get everything squared away, we're going to have Chris Helton on the line. He's already called in, so we got that covered, and he's going to share his personal testimony on how God has changed his life. I'm going to get Chris here, and then we're going to go right into it. Hello, Chris. How are you this evening?
Hey, Jeremy. I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
So, Chris, we've had you on the show before for the band, and it was a great time that we had together, and I told you I would bring you back to get more into your personal testimony. So I'm going to hand it over to you to explain to the viewers who you are and where you have come from. And then we can lead into about I've Died Daily and the different struggles that you've gone through the different books and the people you've been around that have affected you and have influenced you in towards the direction that you were involved in the Wiccan lifestyle. So, Chris, I hand it over to you, buddy.
Alrighty, yeah. So, like Jeremy said, my name's Christopher Helton. I'm actually the lead singer for the band I've Died Daily, and that's kind of how we were blessed to be able to make acquaintances to begin with, so that was really awesome. But my life has been kind of a topsy-turvy situation. I never got heavy into drugs or alcohol or promiscuity or anything like that, but early on in my teen years, about the time that I was in middle school, I was just really heavy-duty into video games. You know, that in and of itself can be a pretty horrible addiction at times, as cheeseball as that may sound. But I was really, really into a series of games called Final Fantasy that some people are pretty familiar with. And there was the whole aspect of might and magic and knights and dragons and all that kind of stuff. And I was just totally into it. I was like, dude, this is the coolest thing ever. Wouldn't it be awesome if magic was real? And so that got me thinking, well, maybe magic is real. And I talked to my dad, and I was like, hey, can we go to the bookstore? So he took me over to Walden Books back when it used to be in the New Park Mall in Newark, California. And walked in and just went to all these different sections looking for religion and spirituality, and stumbled upon an area called New Age, and I was like, alright, I'll check this out and see what it's all about. Found a book on Wicca, read the front or the back cover, and I was like, okay, talking about how magic is real and how we're one with nature and how all of these really cool aspects that just came across to me, and I was like, wow, you know, this is speaking to me really deeply. I think that this is a book I need to buy. So I talked to my dad, he bought it for me, and went home and read it cover to cover that night. And I devoted myself to a life of pagan worship, and I called myself a Wiccan. I didn't really specify a specific godhead or anything like that I was worshiping, but I definitely was like, yeah, you know, definitely in tune with nature, one with nature. Everything's about, you know, balance, and everything's about rebirth and rejuvenation. And I was like, all right, this is really cool, and started studying about casting spells and demonology and all these different aspects. And I was like, well, you know, I'm not going to mess with the demons or anything like that. I'm not going to mess with the angels or anything like that. I'm just going to work with the spirit forces that are in the world, which, of course, in and of itself are demons.
Mm-hmm.
I got heavy duty into it. After I finished reading that book, I ended up reading it 2 or 3 more times, and then went out and bought, oh gosh, I don't know, somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 other books having to do with Norse mythology and Celtic mythology, and I think even one of the books was something along the lines of the 21 Lessons of Merlin, or some goofy title like that just really, you know, took to me. And I was like 13 years old, so everything like that sounded really cool. And I was like, oh yeah, well, King Arthur was awesome, so Merlin was cool, so yeah, I want to be like him. And I really just gave myself over to it, and I started learning about this concept of God in the essence of that there was a god and a goddess, and that they together represented a single entity that was nameless but referred to as the One. So, of course, you know, the nameless One. and it talked about how, you know, you needed to build up yourself like a spell book, and they called it a grimoire, and that you wanted to save all of your spells and save little trinkets, different stones, different flowers, different candles. I mean, it was just, it had a lot to do. I mean, you look in the Bible now and you talk about all these different idols and divination ceremonies and stuff like that that was totally against God. That was me. I mean, I was totally sold out for that concept of life. I mean, and then in my first years of high school, it was a perpetuation of that same concept. And I used to be one of the guys that was looked at as a complete goofball because I'd come to school wearing like the most strange clothes possible. I mean, I think I wore knee-high moccasins to school almost every day for a while, and I was constantly wearing just like a lot of Renaissance fair type clothes. And I was made fun of a lot, but I didn't care because I thought, hey, at least I get it. At least I am in tune. You know, all of you guys are retarded because you don't know what you're talking about, but I know what I'm talking about because I'm really well educated now. And I mean, I had it. I really thought that I was, you know, better than everyone because I thought, well, hey, you know, I'm not going to parties every day. I'm not getting high every day. I'm not having sex with random people. I mean, I'm really in tune with myself. I'm in tune with the world, with nature. Everything's cool. And I understood the concepts of Wicca, and they said, hey, you know what? There's one rule: harm none. I was like, all right, I can do that. I can harm none. And I understood that as meaning, you know, don't harm anyone else, don't harm yourself. Harm none means harm none. But, I mean, of course, I took it to the next level, too. And I was like, okay, that means don't harm nature, don't harm animals, and all kinds of stuff like that. And, I mean, I started considering whether or not I should be a vegetarian. I mean, I say considering because I don't think I ever gave up meat completely. But, yeah, I started finding other people that had the same mentality, and I started hanging out with them, but I found that the majority of them were into the alcoholism, the drugs, the sexual promiscuity, and I saw that as a way of harming yourself. And I was like, hey guys, you know, you say that you believe what I believe, but I mean, you're doing all these things and you're hurting yourself. They're like, what are you talking about, man? I'm doing it to myself. I'm not hurting anyone. I'm like, yeah, you are. You are someone, and you are hurting yourself. No, man, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. And so I had these people in my life that were telling me this, and I'm like, well, if this is what you believe, and you're calling yourself a Wiccan, I don't want to be a Wiccan if this is how I'm going to get painted. I don't want to look like that. I don't want to be like that. I don't think the same way you think, so why should I even ascribe to the same kind of, you know, ideology? So I said, well, I need to explore more. So even though I had a very pagan mindset in the sense that I really thought there was multiple gods. I mean, I really got deep into Celtic mythology and all that kind of stuff, and I was really heavy into Celtic shamanism, and I tried to step away from the religion aspect of it, but I mean, I dove as deep as I could into the spirituality of it. And, I mean, I prayed to the god and the goddess and all these kind of things. And, I mean, some people believe me, some people don't. But, I mean, I did effectively cast spells. I mean, it's not the kind of sleight of hand that you see magicians use, you know, these stage performers. I mean, it's a different kind of thing altogether. I mean, we're talking forces on a completely different plane of existence than ourselves that are acting and reacting to what we as humans are doing. I mean, and all of that is just Satan and his minions. I mean, it's all fallen angels that are trying to get us to truly... They're giving us a response. They're doing the things that we're asking for as when we're living that kind of lifestyle because they want us to perpetuate that lifestyle. They want to keep us away from God because that's their whole point. And so I'm like, I was sold out for it. I mean, I thought Christians were idiots. And I thought Satanists were even stupider than Christians because I'm like, hey, if you believe in Jesus, you're dumb already. If you believe in Satan, who's, you know, a clear fictitious character because Jesus himself is fictitious, you guys are all, you know, retarded. And, I mean, I truly believed that what I was believing was accurate. And I know I'm jumping around a little bit, and I'm sorry about that. It just, memories are coming back as I'm going through this conversation. But,
there's no problem with that, Chris. You know what? We're going to take a quick break and let you get your thoughts together, and we'll be right back with Chris Helton, lead singer of I Die Daily.